Welcome and thank you for joining us on ASFN Carp Files, where we continue our little challenge and excursion from last week. Now, if you didn't watch last week, I'll just put you in the picture quickly. It's my first time I was doing feeder. We went to the lovely Demelikites in Parijs, next to the Vaal River, where I put out feeder fishing for the first time, using the browning rods, browning feed, browning dips and browning baits to see what I can get on it. At the same time, Quib is fishing on my left on the bank, and he's got one rod out to compete with the feeder side on normal bank angling style, except it's only got one hook like we're doing on feeder. He's using conventional feed that you get in the shops everywhere, and he's using Nutricore dips. But he's also got a second rod which is fishing with two hooks, normal bank angling or Papua style, normal feed, and the popular dips that you can get in any stores. So the objective is to test this, see how it compares with each other, and join us now at Demelikites Parijs to see what the results were. Keep in mind that this kind of testing, to get the true facts, we need to do it over a couple of sessions. So it's very interesting, it's actually great fun doing it. Join us at the river.
My other rod just went. I just landed at the little barbel just now, and this fish has picked me up now minutes later on my second rod. So it looks like they're playing along now. This feels like a much more decent fish. It was stuck outside in rocks, and I managed to turn it and give it some line to swim out, and it swam out. Yeah, this is a much better fish. It's taking a lot of line. Just want to keep my rod high. I've got a rock in front of me as well. I just want to see if I can turn it. Okay, it went right now the other way. I'm using a Daiwa M-cast rod and reel, and it's fighting this fish. We've just seen it. It's a bigger barbel than the previous one. Look like the barbels are loving this little dose which we're putting out now. You can see in this M-cast rod, it's got a very lovely bend in the rod. M-cast reels also, it drags very smooth. This barbel turns around and wants to run. There's no place for him to hook and stuff. The line just goes freely off. Fish is starting to tire now. It's a nice barbel. There we go. As you can see on the barbels, they have a little lip at the bottom here that you can just grip with your fingers in there and you can grip him. Now this one doesn't count. I've got a second rod out that we're playing with dips around that we're using. So this one I've used two hooks on the trace. The other rod I caught it small one, there's only one hook trace because it's like the feeder fishing. The feeder fishing guys only allowed to use one hook. So I've used one hook on that rod. This one we're playing around with dips. My bait wasn't in the water 5 minutes. So it looks like my plan is coming together. I don't know what this is. It screamed off again. What I'm using on this rod is a Daiwa Laguna rod. Very nice rod, 9 foot. Very nice rod to play the fish with and to feed. Especially when you're fishing this river systems, it's a nice rod for casting as well because you're not casting that far. And as well, I've got a Daiwa M-cast 4000 reel on here, 7-pound line. So that's doing the job for me. There we go. The little hook has got it in the corner of the mouth again. So it's 2-1. Andre, you need to catch up.
Yeah, no, Quib's got the fish on his spot now. He's fishing closer to, there's a bit of rock area there, and it seems like it's an ideal area for the barbel. I'm fishing much closer in. I'm fishing about 20-25 meters, which I found a bit of a hole and a drop, and I'm hoping for some muddy yellowfish carp to come on, and I think we'll wait another half an hour maybe, and I think they're going to start grabbing my side. But yeah, please now I must just catch up because Quib is already starting with it. But I think a barbel, you guys might agree with me, the way we're fishing now, a barbel counts half a point. My words wasn't cold, and it took off nicely. With this cold weather and the cold front, I think the fish takes a while to get onto the bite. But look at the nice give in this rod's tip. These rods are specially built for this type of fishing. Lovely fighting a fish with it. Look at the bend there. That's fantastic. Now that's enjoyable. I'll recommend this to anybody. It reminds me, you know, when you were younger, you had a lot of those softer rods. When we were fishing, even bank angling, much softer rods than what we're fishing these days because we're looking for distance. Now this takes you back. Obviously only the tip. There's still a lot of backbone. But the tip is so soft. Nice. Give. What did it do now there? Cool. Swam into something and got stuck. Just took, swam through the branch, obviously saw the branch, went straight for it and pulled the hook out of its own mouth and left me nicely hooked up. Okay, I've switched to Champion's Choice Crispy Carp and I've mixed it with the Dutch Danger but the Black Monster. Both products of browning. High nutritional value. Make a nice little ball or paste. And I found my little recipe that's working. The bitter mandel from browning. Very high concentrate almond paste. Stick that on. And the same for the hook bait. Put a little bit of dough. Floaty, stick it in there. And a bit more bitter mandel. That's it. Seems to do the trick.
No, this one is actually giving a lot of head shakes. So hopefully it's a yellowfish or a mudfish, one of the two. Yo, that's a nice catch. I haven't caught a muddy in years. There you go. That's a huge muddy. Very, very nice. Also got it on my little dough. So if they're starting to bite now, hopefully the barbels have moved off my spot and I'm giving them some time to move in. But this is a very nice fish.
Now after about an hour of no bites, Quibby took off with a very big fish that snapped him up on the back, and not 5 minutes later I hooked a very big fish, and which broke my hook link. Took a whole bunch of line, probably 50 meters or 40 meters down that way, until it actually broke the hook link. So what we've done is we've upgraded, well I've upgraded my hook link to a 9 pound. I was fishing 7 pound. With the hope that that doesn't happen so easily. So it seems like our feeding areas has brought in some bigger fish. On the tackle and methods we're using to fish, we're actually looking for a lot of small fish. But you have to adapt to your conditions. So if the bigger fish are moving in, no one's going to complain. We just need to land them now. So we had to make some alterations. So let's see.
A nice size fish. It feels like a muddy or maybe a barbel. It's playing along nicely now. It's coming in now. The two previous fish we lost were two big fish, and finally we got another bite. Looked like a nice fish. It's again on my rod that I'm competing with Andre with the feeder fishing. So it's another one up for me, but I must first get it in the net. It's starting to get tired now. In the net she goes.
Okay, bites are very far apart, so eventually came to the conclusion to leave the bait a bit longer with this cold front. It makes sense as well. The fish are quite a bit more lethargic and it takes quite a bit longer for them to actually pick up your bait. Got no idea what this is. Kicking and screaming, matey.
Oh, it's a big mudfish.
This one doesn't fight as much.
Yeah.
at the size of this muddy. Lovely muddies here by the Malachite. Always nice size. Nice broad bodies. Big fish. Well, that puts me on 3. I'm still behind with those so-called barbel fish that count. Behind 1 fish on the feeder side. But in my opinion so far, I don't think it will catch less fish. Because this is my first time, and I think once I get the hang of it, I'll start piling the fish in. So after that big carp picked me up and snapped me off, and Kobe before that as well, I switched to a 9-pound hook length, slightly longer. I made it. I still bury it into my feed. Very small hook. And yeah, this is basically a feeder. The purpose of this is the feed goes on top, so it lies flat on the bottom like that. Doesn't roll around as much as the round balls we're throwing, which also probably increases your chance of the fish picking this up, because they'll move it around a bit, but they won't be able to roll it as much. Dough doesn't work very well when it gets too hot. And it is hot here now. The wind has dropped quite a bit. We're thankful for that. It makes it a lot more bearable. The fish is still slow, and that's because the barometer and the atmospheric pressure needs to get back to a consistent pressure so that the fish can be comfortable again. We can already see some fish starting to feed, so that's a good sign. But I think by tomorrow, the day after, the fish is really going to come on you. I just casted this rod. I don't think it was a minute. I haven't even gone to sit down and it took off. So it seems like fish are coming onto the feed now in that area I created there. The browning feed, the crispy carp. I mixed a bit of dark monster in. Way. Either very nice muddy or a nice yellow fish. That's my guess. I think this is going to be a barbel. Just using my finger. I want the drag to be loose enough for when he turns suddenly. But I'm using my finger because you'll see if you put too much pressure on it now, it just turns. So I'm just using my finger to put pressure, which I can just lift up should he turns to take line. Yeah, it's a barbel. Literally casted that into its mouth, obviously. Okay. That's a barbel. I'm not going to put it in the net, but it counts. It's on camera. It's the 4th fish. I don't think I want this in the net. So it swims away with our net. Alright, not a bad size. What, about a 3.5 kilo. And I'm going to release it just here. Cheers. Okay, it's definitely working for me to leave the bait longer. Fish are much slower in feeding. So I've watched this, the tip of this rod for a good 10 minutes while the fish was busy with the bait. Obviously the feed, before it picked up the hook. Maybe a muddy, but so far it feels like it can be a carp. Once you see the line here in front and it does that, you know it's a barbel. So now it doesn't look like a barbel. Big, fat, lazy, muddy. love catching these fish. I don't know why, but it's probably out of freshwater. It's one of the most enjoyable species to catch. They're quite sly and biting as well. It's not a matter of just taking it. And I think what makes feeder maybe more effective to catch muddies is you don't have a strike indicator or a policeman. You're fishing a straight line. And that's maybe why it's easier to see them. Now it's giving me hassles right here in front. But it's a nice size. Very good size. That's a good size muddy. Wait. Okay. First unhook the hook before you start jumping. Wants to look like the biggest one of the day. Quibbies is definitely the fattest, but look at this shoulder on this one. Really good size. Well, Quibby must know what that means. He's got some catching up to do. I'm one ahead. Not much, but ahead's ahead.
Okay, recording. Sy's daar, Andre. Check hy slap.
Yours, hierdie vis is very small if it's a fish. It is a small barbel.
Andre, you can't weigh in such small baubles, it doesn't count.
6 fish. Quibby's crying. You can hear him in the background. And he swallowed it so deep. Look how he spat out all the hemp seed that was in my feed. He swallowed it all the way. A very pretty little fish actually. And why don't we like them sometimes? Because it's not the fish you're targeting. Once you start targeting them, then they're fantastic to catch. And join us in the future. We will do some shows with Black Cat. We're going to go look for some big barbel. So in essence, I think as I get to know the art of feeder fishing a bit better, we did specifically method feeding. There's various different types you can do. You can get cages, which we'll show in the future, where you can put maggots in, or you can put hemp seed. It allows you to put fine particles in with your feed and shake that out in a fish to get fish. And I think Quibby's going to get a fish there. But yeah, so as we get more geared and more, can I put it, used to it, doing it better and understanding it better, I think it will give us very good results. One thing I can say is you're a lot more in touch with your rod and what happens to your bait on the other side. The rod allows a lot of give when you play the fish, which probably allows you to have a better chance of landing them. So yeah, all in all, the future of bank angling has gone feeder style, purely if you want to do competitive fishing, of course. If you want to get your provincial colors or national colors, then feeder is the style you have to adapt. That is one big muddy. 2 yellowfish, 2 muddies, the barbel released already. These the yellowfish, Saddam? Okay, Baba. There we go. Another yellow. Here, look at these. Okay, don't look at that one. He's gone. But that's fantastic. The size of these things. Look at the shoulders. It's developed in age already. That is brilliant. Made the whole day.
Now this is one little bauble. One bigger bauble. Just get it out. There's the other bauble. Another decent sized little bauble. And to top it off, I've got one of this nice mudfish. A nice big one. At the end of the day, it's fishing very nicely. You don't catch such fish every day, but when they come on the bite, they are nice and fat. Thing jump out of my hands, and then it jumps back in the water.
On the single hook bank angling rod Kobie put out, using normal feed, normal bait and Nutricore dips, he managed to get 4 fish, which actually at one stage made me panic because I was behind him. On the second rod he used 2 hooks with normal bank angling style, using popular feeds, popular dips and the normal baits. He only managed to get 1 fish. Now on the feeder side, some interesting results, where I was using the browning equipment with browning feed, browning dips, as well as the method feeder style, we managed to get 6 fish. Is this a coincidence, or was that what we can expect in the sessions going forward?